Most of you don't actually know my story. I walked into my living room and I immediately knew, not because there were so many people sitting in my living room. I felt the energy. They said, sit down. It was my family and my mom was crying and they said, Dad has cancer. Now, we hear cancer every day, unfortunately, but in the early 1980s, I didn't know anyone who had cancer. I remember saying, what does that mean? And my uncle saying, it's terminal cancer. They're giving him about 6 months to live, and everything changed. Fortunately, my sister had introduced us to someone who knew so much about nutrition, and this is how the whole story began. I became a wealth of knowledge, figuring out through trial and error what works in the body, what's easy, what's affordable is so vast and so deep that it is worth sharing. I am Lisa D. Murphy, and today I want to get into why did I start all this and how did it begin? And most of you don't actually know my story. So I want to take you back to a time where most of you probably remember this life. We played outside. We got dirty. Our parents yelled out the door when it was time to come in and eat. I ate ring-dings. I ate Twinkies. I drank 4C iced tea. I put Heinz ketchup on everything. There were hot dog sales at school. There were bake sales. And I was that kid. And it was ham and cheese on a roll for lunch with a warm Hi-C. And except for the days that it was a hot dog sale or a meatball hero sale, I never ever thought about what I ate. I didn't have to until I did. And I remember this vividly. It was sophomore year. I was already unhappy. I was so incredibly unhappy. I left this amazing cocoon in grammar school right up the block. We used to walk to school. We were like these skinny, thin kids that ran and played, and we were always outside. And then I am taking 2 city buses to get to this school, and didn't have a uniform anymore. And I remember that feeling of having to wear clothes and noticing that other people had more money than we did. And I just remember that time and place where things really started to change, or so I thought. And then it was sophomore year. I made a decision that I was going to fall in love with this school, although I didn't. So here I am, 14 years old. Life as I know it is already starting to change, and then we get hit with this news. And I remember we had to do an inventory, and we were looking at the back of the boxes on everything in our pantry and cleaning stuff out. And we bought a juice machine, and I knew all of a sudden overnight about beta carotene and wheatgrass and BHT and BHA, and gone were the Twinkies and the Yodels and the 4C iced tea. And we became acutely aware of sugar and white bread. Back in the early 80s, we had brown eggs and brown bread, and we began this crusade with my father. And my mother was adamant about my father not going to hospice, because that's where people go to die. That's not where people go to recover. For 3 years, my father was on an incredible path. He had brain and lung cancer, and the doctors were really astounded. Like, what is going on? He should be dying, and he's getting better. He's getting stronger. And it was the nutrition we were pouring into his body. And we were doing drops under his tongue, and he was doing beta carotene drinks all day, every day, and wheatgrass. And there was really no information. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have social media. I just knew that you can't put stuff directly in aluminum foil, that aluminum is directly linked to all these other diseases. You don't do that. We don't wrap stuff in plastic. Forget about a microwave. I mean, you couldn't even mention microwave to my mom. And my father was doing really, really well. But here's what happened. Remember when we had one big remote and you had channels 2, 4, we live on the East Coast, 2, 4, 7, 9, 11, and 13. And that was it. You didn't have 17 remotes and, you can stream from all these different channels. We were watching TV, and the nutritionist that was helping my dad apparently was saying he had this license, but he didn't. And my father saw the episode and said, I'm not doing this anymore. This is ridiculous. Look at my skin. I'm turning orange. I have the hiccups all day long from all this stuff you're putting in my body. And this is just all hocus pocus. And it's really the doctors that are helping me. And I'm done with this and I'm not doing it. And within 6 months, he had surgery to try to remove some of the cancer. And it was already around his heart and his brain. And he passed away the day before I turned 18. What could have been different? And what can be so different for you guys? Now we have so much knowledge. There's so much information out there. But how do we discern what to do? It's too crazy. It's too much. There's too much information. And the reason why I am doing this podcast is to really help so many of you on this same journey. Maybe it's not cancer. Maybe it's something else. Maybe you're just exhausted. You're burning the candle at both ends. I know we are. We're a blended family. We have 5 children right now, ages 18 to 26. I'm remarried, meaning I went through a divorce. Not so easy. Business, we're both very, very successful. We're juggling business. We're juggling kids. We're juggling homes. We're juggling pets. My mom is 91. We have families. How do we do this? The intention of this podcast is to help all of you with your emotional health, your spiritual health, your financial health, and your overall well-being, the nutrition we put in. Nutrition goes so far past just the food. It's so much more than that. And as a layperson who is, and I'm going to quote what people say about me, highly functional, very successful, living a happy, fulfilled life, the intention of this is to share with all of you guys and make it super simple in bite sizes, all of the information that we have learned along this journey. And to share with you easy tips that you can do, because I don't think we have time to chop and dice and read and scan and go to workshops and journal and do your affirmations and meditate. You know, this sounds all great until you get a phone call that your kid is throwing up in school or has pink eye and your whole day is interrupted. You think you have a plan. And then you remember, I have to be at work early. I'm sitting in traffic. This video is amazing, but it's 2 hours. I can't take notes. I'm trying to listen in the nooks and crannies. So it's to really give you information that's going to help you, that's applicable to the everyday ins and outs of really busy people. And people who want to be successful in so many areas, but you don't even know where to begin. So I thought it would be interesting to share my story and how this all changed, and learning about all of these ingredients and really adjusting, and how incredibly difficult it was when we didn't have anything that was gluten-free. We didn't even know where to get organic vegetables. It wasn't labeled as such. The journey, and then wanting to do all of that and having kids. And then how do you say to your kids, oh, we don't eat cupcakes. We don't eat yellow dye. We don't eat red dye. We don't eat hot dogs. You don't. And then to make that adjustment yet again while raising your own family and putting stuff on the table and knowing, oh my gosh, this isn't the best stuff, but it's the best that I can do. And as moms, how many of you just feel guilty? You feel bad, but we're doing the best we can. People are constantly asking me advice for their children, or what to eat, or how they deal with difficult conversations or difficult situations or people. And it goes back to all of my years of coaching. So at 18, I'm surrounded by drugs and alcohol. It's everywhere. It's in my house. It's in my neighborhood. My dad just dies. I have to think about school. And I know that I shouldn't wake up every day wishing I were dead. And that was really just how I felt. Like, it can't get worse than this. It's just, life is too hard. And I would walk to the library and read books. And that's how my coaching journey began. I started saving money. I would travel. I would sleep anywhere and everywhere to be able to attend a course. We didn't have the internet. Nobody knew what a life coach was. Nobody knew what a somatic coach was. And I would travel and go do these trainings for years at a time. And I've learned so much. I was actually able to take so much of what I applied and put it over the blanket of network marketing. And that's really how I got started in network marketing. It was, wow, if I can help people on their own personal journey, help them to grow and develop and use all of my coaching skills, I can create recurring income with a product because they will in turn be successful. And that was really why I started network marketing. I saw it as a vehicle in which I can coach people, but I also could create a business that would be in alignment with being a young mom and raising kids. And I took my coaching to a whole other level with network marketing. And then people just kept asking, how do you do this? How did you raise such amazing kids? How did you meet Mark? How are you guys so financially successful? How do you build a business? How did you let go of that business? How did you reinvent yourself? And that's really what this podcast is designed to do. It's to take all of those experiences, all of the years of coaching in different modalities, in all those different certifications, and help you with all of that, with difficult conversations, it's beyond affirmations. I mean, you could wake up every day and say, I am wealthy, I am strong, I am positive. I get that. Self-talk really matters, but there's so many layers to what coaching really is. And through this whole series, we're going to help you to really uncover what does our best self mean? And it's just being a little bit better than we were yesterday. From something that was so incredibly tragic in my life and so completely devastating, I began, and not intentionally, a career path as a coach who really helps people to pull back layers, to take a really good look, and to be that raw and real version of yourself to yourself so that we can start to uncover your purpose, your passion, what works, where you need to eliminate, where you need to bring in, and how do you create what I call a highly functional and a very abundant life. And I'm really excited to have the guests that we have lined up to share the information with you, to tell you where I am now in my career, decades later, after being in pharmaceutical sales and learning so much about pharmaceuticals and then nutraceuticals and supplements and vitamins, and then being in the health and wellness industry for decades and working with brilliant scientists who trained me to train you on products and built massive organizations helping people and coaching people through their own wellness journey. And then taking it a step further, before the internet, before people even heard of a life coach. Everybody wants to be a coach now. Well, here's just like the real talk. I don't want a coach or a trainer. Let's talk about a trainer in the gym. I don't want a trainer who is unwell, not fit, not healthy, and doesn't have the look that I want. I don't want a financial advisor who's bankrupt or broke or struggling or doesn't have clients. I want somebody who's already successful. When people give me marital advice, if you've never been married, you have no idea what it is like to be married or to go through a divorce, to date again, to be remarried, to be in a loving relationship. Oh, wait, let's blend families. What is that like? To be successful in taking his kids and my kids, and they become our kids, but there's still another dad in the picture, and there's still another mom. How do we do that dance and do it successfully and with love and with joy? Oh, and then what about my aging mom who's 91 and the businesses that we run? How do we do it? And that's really what I want to share with all of you as a real person, as a person who's kind of got this love-hate relationship with social media. I'm just tired of everybody being so perfect. I'm not that perfect. It's really messy. But in the messiness, we're healthy, physically, financially, emotionally, spiritually, and we're always learning. And through that, we've dealt with our share of anxiety, depression, ADHD, cancer, Epstein-Barr, PCOS, you name it. And we've had it. So keeping it raw and real and sharing these tidbits, I really hope that you'll continue to tune in and find your place in the world to really just take what you need and leave the rest behind. And know that we're all doing our very, very best. And you're not going to be the Martha Stewart of cooking or the most famous, doctor of nutrition. But these little changes all day, every day, make a very, very big difference. And it's making slight changes with our nutrition, making slight changes with the stuff that we watch, the people we're with. It's a lot about elimination and creating space to bring in new and different. And if we can just start really with looking at this stuff, come on, you guys, that you know is bad. You feel really bad about it. Let it go. Get rid of it. You will not miss it. You will so appreciate the ease of your life when you don't have to think about that anymore, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a career, or whether it's just the food that we're putting in our bodies. I want to talk about nutrition. I feel like everybody wants to talk about nutrition. And for them, it's what do they eat? What supplements do they take? That's not how I define nutrition. Nutrition is what is around me, the energy of people, the people I surround myself with. What am I filling my mind with? What am I putting in my body? What am I putting on top of my body? Am I happy in my career? So I define nutrition as emotional, spiritual, financial, as well as physical. And we're going to get into all of those aspects. I'm very fortunate. I happen to be married to somebody who's absolutely brilliant and a genius when it comes to finance. Mark is going to join me on a lot of these shows so we can bring to you a lot of tips that help us navigate through different businesses. To me, that's nutrition. It affects my everyday, how I feel if I don't have money or I do have money. Or the relationships, the quality of the relationships I have in my life. Maybe I don't have thousands of friends. Maybe I do on social media. But come on, in real life, I have those long-term quality relationships, those ride or die friendships. And how do we create those? And the connection with my children, all of our children, our big blended group. To me, that's what feeds my soul. My soul is so incredibly happy. That's nutrition to me. So this isn't the run-of-the-mill, supplement. This is what you should be taking nutritional line podcast. It's how do we really play full out, day in and day out, with all of the stress, all of the challenges, all of this stuff, being pulled in 1,000 different directions, being highly functional and nutritionally sound. So I'm going to share all the tips, all the secrets, all the trial and error that I've learned along the way with you guys so that you can feel your very, very best in all areas of your life. We're going to start with nutrition. We're going to have some incredible, amazing talks about nutrition. Most recently, I was lucky enough to team up with Todd Wagner, who's Food Fight USA, the creator. Todd is brilliant. And you may know Todd. He's Mark Cuban's partner. And he has a very strong passion to eliminate a lot of these toxic ingredients from our food supply. And working with him and Congress to really get some of this stuff. And this was before RFK. This isn't political. This is like another thing that we have to all worry about and talk about. And whose side are you on? I'm on your side. I'm on your side to help you be the very, very best person you can be, the best parent, whether it's your own kids or your nieces and your nephews, to help them to have energy, to have clarity, to feel good in your body. We shouldn't feel this bad. And I do believe in pharmaceuticals. I do believe in medication. I have to believe in medication because there are certain things that I believe you can't just cure. I mean, how many of us can just eliminate everything from our life and just go sit on a rock and meditate and stop everything else? We have to still be highly functional in this world. So I do believe in East meets West. I do believe in a combination, and I do believe in a lot of grace and acceptance for what we're able to do, and not be shamed or ridiculed or feel like we're less than because other people are not transparent. They're putting this imaging out there that everything is just so amazing. And you're waking up, your body aches, you're tired, you didn't sleep well, your kids are suffering, there's a lot of stuff going on. Maybe you're struggling in your relationship. And then we look through, we scroll through, we absorb, and we feel worse. And I'm just sick and tired of that. And it's really one of the reasons why I wanted to get on here. I'm a person who hates being videotaped. And I did it actually for a living, standing up in front of tens of thousands of people talking about products and team building and coaching and getting back to coaching. I knew when my father died and I was just looking at colleges. Can you imagine like doing your applications and choosing your next path, and you just lost your dad, your mom's alone, you're dealing with so much stuff. And my own personal journey in wanting to feel better emotionally, wanting to feel better physically, led me down the path of coaching, ontological coaching, neurolinguistic programming, somatic work. My gosh, like 12 different modalities. And I kept going to course after course, not to train anybody, not to teach anybody, not even to open up a coaching business, but to help myself. I just wanted to help myself. It was through that I started to realize, you know what? If I teach other people what I know, I can really make a difference in this world. I can leave the world a little bit better than how I found it. And I also realized at a very young age, I was done trading time for money. And young to me, you guys, I was in my 30s. I was juggling 2 kids, pregnant with a third, burning the candle on both ends. I had this pharmaceutical job. I was exhausted. I left, it was dark. I came home, it was dark. I lived for the weekends to get what? I don't know what. A manicure, a pedicure, clean my house, go food shopping, and get ready for the week. I don't even know what I was living for on the weekends, but I was in what we call the rat race. And what I want to do is help take all of you out of the rat race with all my years of coaching, all my experience in nutrition, and really my expertise in relationships, raising kids, and in creating harmony in your life. So I look forward to the next episode. I look forward to sharing everything that I have to share. And I look forward to helping all of you just be yourself in your best body possible. Thanks for joining, everyone. And you can follow me at lisadmurphy.com.